Today we're going to be talking about habits I regret not starting sooner in my 20s. And if you're in your 20s, this video is your cheat code. But here's the thing, I'm not going to list off a bunch of self-help tips like wake up early and drink water, because those things sound good, but they're not actually what changes your life. Because I've realized what actually matters are the habits that build perspective and not just productivity. I'm actually headed to go visit my little brother in college to play at a worship night that him and some friends have organized and that I actually started when I was back in college. This was 5 years ago, but he's carried the mantle, he's continued doing it. As I'm going to visit him, I just couldn't help but think about the things that I wish I knew at his age when I was graduating. So if you want to avoid some of the mistakes that I made and really just fast track your growth and progress in your 20s, make sure you watch this video to the end, because this is a video that I wish someone had given me. All right, this is a finished product, my ghetto version of avocado toast. Not gonna lie, it kind of looks like the nasty patty, but hey man, tastes good. Okay guys, the first thing that I regret not doing in my 20s, earlier in my 20s, is taking my cardiovascular fitness more seriously. So for my fitness guys, my gym bros who never do cardio, and trust me, I used to be one of them, this is for you. Running and cardiovascular fitness is so important, and the earlier you start, the better it will be for you long term. Because earlier in my 20s, even up until recently, like I've really just been all about weightlifting, and that's all I wanted to do when I talked about working out. Working out was equivalent to weightlifting, but I've realized that it's important to care for your heart just as much as you care for your muscles. And the great thing about running is that it doesn't just help your physical fitness, it also improves your mental toughness. Because if you're anything like me and you've been working out for a while, you find out that working out is easy and it's actually very enjoyable. So you kind of lose that challenge factor that you have when you first started working out. But running introduces a whole different dimension of fitness that will really test your mental capacity and your ability to do hard things. And I don't know about y'all, but after a run, I just feel clean. It's like my body is like taking a shower from the inside out. I'm just functioning on a higher capacity than I was before. Like blood flow and everything is just a lot better. Also, being a person who's into fitness is kind of embarrassing when I feel like I can't run a mile without being out of breath. And when I'm in that condition, it just feels like I'm a fake, you know? Having the mental peace and knowing that if push came to shove and I had to run a mile in a certain time period, or at least without stopping, I knew that I could do it. So just having that peace of mind, like, it's everything. So, because you don't want to be that gym bro who like looks in shape, but when it comes to actually doing physical activity, you're out of breath, like you're breathing heavy, all that. You don't want that. So just avoid that. And trust me, start running earlier. Take care of your cardiovascular fitness now so that it won't affect you later. So if you don't want to be like Glenn Powell in the movie Anyone But You, where Sydney Sweeney calls him a hot girl fit.
Why are you so out of shape? You have like a 10 pop.
I'm not out of shape. I've been to 295, 300 once. I just don't do cardio.
Oh my God, you're hot girl fit.
Go ahead and hit the treadmill, go outside, do a run, do something, because you're trying to avoid that type of embarrassment. So just go ahead, start running, bro. All right, bro, catch you later. All right guys, let's get this drive started. It's gonna take me about 2 hours, so it shouldn't be too bad. But usually there's traffic and stuff, so I'm also trying to just get there early because I used to go to the same college, trying to like check out all the old spots, walk around, and just see what it's like. It's been 5 years since I graduated. I've been back a couple of times, but you know, it's always like a little special when you go back. So yeah, ooh, big puddle. All right, let's get it. Yeah, my car is so old that I literally have to put the key in and turn it. One day I'm gonna get a new car, not today, but one day. And then I also have to like open it from here. Let's open up the back. All right, base inside.
Waiting for pairing.
All right, let the road trip begin. Say a little prayer before we go. And let's do it. University of Virginia. All right, looks like it's gonna be a 2 hour, 22 minutes. Nobody do me like you do. 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 All right, guys, let's touch on UVA. And what's crazy is I just ran into one of my friends that we graduated the same year. We used to take the same biology class, and like it was just such a coincidence. Like here I am thinking I'm not gonna know anyone here, and then I just happened to run into someone that I knew from when we graduated. Like, what are the odds? But it's crazy. That reminds me about the second thing that I regret not doing earlier in my 20s, which revolves around relationships, and it's just saying yes to more opportunities. So one time I was watching this clip by Alex Hormozy, and he said that people only will invite you to something once. And I found that to be so true, and I really took that to heart, because I realized myself that even when I go out of my way to invite someone to something and they don't take the effort, or they don't usually take me up on that first time, it's very unlikely that I invite them to something another time. So in your 20s, you'll get invited to a lot of things. You'll get invited to birthday parties, you'll get invited to dinners, you get invited to all these different like hangouts and stuff. And I think, especially if you're like me, who like tends to kind of keep to himself and kind of like, you know, kind of introverted, it's really easy to just stay in your own bubble and say no to a lot of things. And that used to be what I used to do, especially early on in my 20s. But the thing about this is that it makes life very monotonous and lonely if you're not exposing yourself to different environments and meeting different people. Like I remember I used to only work out by myself, and I remember the first time that someone asked me to work out with him, I think it was actually Leslie. At first I wasn't sure, because I was like, you know, I usually like to do this by myself, and I don't know if I want to like do that with someone else. But I remembered what Alex Hormozy said, that people only ask once. And at the time, I also just wanted to meet more people, so I ended up saying yes. And Leslie ended up being one of my best friends right now. And then also Ferdinand, same thing. Like he also invited me to work out. We had a great workout, and since then we've been friends. So the lesson here is to always lean in towards saying yes when it comes to new experiences and new friends and meeting new people, because people will only ask once. So take that to heart and don't take these opportunities for granted. Okay guys, so for number 3, I'm actually walking towards the libraries, which I used to work at, which has me thinking about this one. But during college, I just had a lot of apprehension about what I would do after I graduated. And I really didn't know which path I needed to take or what was the perfect path for me to take. And I ended up wasting so much time obsessing over finding the perfect path. At the time, I was pre-med and I'd been having like second thoughts about the decision. So I just kept going back and forth on what I should do. If I should do medical school, if I should do dental school, if I should do PA school, AA school. I just had no idea what to do or what was the right choice. And some part of me just felt like if I kept planning that, somehow I would fall upon the perfect decision. But what I found is that clarity only comes from action. So the moment you're able to, there's a bunch of squirrels running around here. But the moment you're able to just make the first step, that's when you'll begin to start seeing clarity or having clarity. Because the truth is that you can only make a decision with the information that you have available. And as long as you're staying true to yourself and making a decision that's in line with your values, then you really can't go wrong. So the life lesson is just to start moving and don't let the fear of making the wrong decision keep you from making any decisions at all. All right guys, for this I'm in the library, so I gotta keep it hush. But the next thing that I regret not doing in my 20s was spending more money. So I grew up pretty frugal, and we always had what we needed, we always had what we wanted to, but money wasn't always the most abundant. So I remember when I got my first job out of college, I was making around $57,000 a year, and I was so stingy with every penny that I made. Like I'm talking, I would skip laundry days sometimes just to save a couple bucks. And at the time, I thought I was being smart, but really I was just living in fear. And here's what I learned. As long as you're saving and investing properly and hitting your goals, it's okay to enjoy your money, and you shouldn't feel guilty about spending money. It's possible for you to have discipline while also enjoying your life, because at the end of the day, that's what the money is for. It's meant to be spent, it's meant to be enjoyed. And if you don't know much about saving or investing, I would recommend that you read the book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich Rich by Ramit Sethi. I read that book about a couple years ago, and that completely changed my perspective on spending. Since reading that book, I've been able to automate my investing and automate my saving, while also being able to enjoy my money without feeling guilty about it. So life lesson here is to save money and invest, but don't be afraid to enjoy the money that you've worked so hard for. This is where I would come when I really needed to lock in. I think it's finals, so people are like studying. Can I do the El Jefe? El Jefe? Yeah. You make content there? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I saw the mic. You saw the mic? Yeah. This was my favorite spot back in college, so yeah. That was one of my favorite food spots back in college, called Roots. It's just like these organic, like grain bowls. So freaking good. The prices have definitely gone up because a bowl used to be like $9. Now it's like $13, but still so worth it, man. These bowls slap like crazy. All right, guys, enough memory lane. Time to get to this worship night, do what we came here for. I'm actually late. Spent a little bit too much time reminiscing, but all right, let's get to this worship night. How was Yahweh night, man?
I was on fire, bro.
It's cool.
Thank God. Moved. Felt him.
Yes, sir. It's powerful. Okay, guys, so on the way back home from the worship night, the devil attacked me, man. My car, it just stopped working. It was literally like a cartoon. Like I was just driving, cruising. It was late too. It was like 11:30, almost 12. Like first, I was listening to music and then the radio gives out and then it just starts sputtering and gives out. Luckily, I was able to get it to a gas station and yeah. Luckily, however, I was able to get an Uber. So I Ubered from where I was back to my place now. And then I coordinated with AAA and they towed it to a mechanic. So I'll be able to figure that out next week. That will be next week's problem. Yeah, that's just life, man. These crazy things happen. I'm just happy that I got home safely. But that's not gonna kill the video. There were two more things that I wanted to talk about that I think are so important that I regret not doing earlier in my 20s. And the first one is going to be traveling more. So I recently went to Switzerland and Italy with some friends, and it was honestly a life-changing experience. I know that people say this all the time about traveling, and it wasn't in the way that you would expect. It was just so eye-opening to see how different people live, and that it's so easy to get caught up in your own bubble if you never expand your worldview and think that what you see is all that there is. When we went to Switzerland, we were skiing and snowboarding, and we actually ran into this guy from Holland. His name was Tom, and he invited us over to his place. He had like a condo or something at the ski resort, and he was just telling us about his life experience, and it was so eye-opening to see how like knowledgeable he was. And he was so knowledgeable about America and knowledgeable about our politics, our history, our geography, like everything. I was just like, man, like I feel very unknowledgeable and uncultured. Like I was like, am I uncultured? And the truth is I really was. I just really had never exposed myself to different perspectives as much as I would have hoped. And I wish I started traveling earlier in my 20s. There are things that prevented that from happening. Like I didn't have a job, so I didn't have money or like the funds to be able to sponsor such events. But now that I have the funds and the capabilities, I really want to make it a priority and take a couple big trips every year just so I can really expand my worldview and know more about the world and see more of the world. So the lesson here is, if you're young, make travel a priority. Whether you have to do it with yourself or with some friends, just get out there and see the world. And the very last one on the list is going to be reading more and learning more about the world. So I used to be the guy who thought it was cool to like not care about politics and not care about like global issues. I was kind of in the mindset of like, if it's not affecting me, why do I care about it? But that's not the right perspective. I don't think it's the right way to go about life in general. And I realized that being aware and being knowledgeable and being able to like formulate an opinion on what's going on in the world because you're actually thinking about it, I think that's actually very impressive and something that I wish I had tried to do more earlier in my 20s, because now I feel like I'm kind of playing catch up, trying to like learn all these things that I should have been known. But it's never too late. So lately I've just been reading a lot more, studying stuff in terms of like history, politics, culture, geography, things like that. And it's made life a lot more interesting, because the world is actually very interesting if you take some interest in it. And then it also makes conversation with people a lot more interesting, because you're able to understand different perspectives a lot better and understand the perspectives of people who might not be from the same place that you come from. So like being able to interject that into conversation has been really cool, and I'm excited to see how that continues to grow as I continue to learn more. So to be honest, your 20s are not about getting everything right. It's really about building the foundation for the rest of your life. Because believe me, you will make mistakes. The path will not be linear. You'll likely end up doing something that you didn't expect you were going to be doing. And the growth is messy. And that's just the reality of living in your 20s. I strongly believe that as long as you're living intentionally, you're trying, you're striving, you're growing, and you're adjusting, then you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. All right, guys, that is it for this video. If you made it all the way to the end, like always, I appreciate you. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.